Two people can share the exact same birthday and somehow look like they belong to different decades. We usually explain that difference away with one word: genetics, or maybe luck. But researchers in Denmark discovered that the face may be revealing something far more serious than appearance. They photographed 1,826 twins, all over the age of 70, and asked independent observers to guess how old each person looked. Then they followed what happened to those twins over time. The result was difficult to dismiss. The larger the perceived age gap between two twins, the more likely the older-looking twin was to die first. And the face was not acting alone. The older-looking twins also tended to have weaker physical function, weaker cognitive function, and shorter telomeres in their white blood cells. A wrinkle had stopped being cosmetic. It had become a biological clue. The face was not causing the aging. It was leaking information about what was happening underneath. And when scientists followed that clue beneath the skin, the story became much stranger than anyone looking in a mirror could see. To understand what the face was pointing to, travel almost 18,000 kilometers to Dunedin, New Zealand, where scientists had been following more than 1,000 people born in 1972 and 1973. By age 38, almost none had the diseases we normally associate with old age. Chronologically, they were the same age. Inside their bodies, that similarity disappeared. Researchers tracked 18 markers across the heart, lungs, kidneys, liver, immune system, and metabolism. Their question was simple. For every calendar year, how much physiological change was each body accumulating? The spread was enormous. Some people showed almost no measurable physiological aging across that 12-year window. Others were changing at nearly 3 biological years for every 1 year that passed. Same 12 years, completely different internal mileage. The faster agers were already showing it: weaker grip, poorer balance, more physical limitations, more cognitive decline, and older-looking faces. This was the first real answer to the mystery. Some people who seem younger are not simply wearing their age differently. Their bodies are accumulating physiological change more slowly. But that answer created a problem. If two people share a birthday, what exactly inside them is younger? When scientists tried to answer that with one precise biological age number, the clocks refused to agree. If one master aging clock controlled the body, every serious test should agree. In 2018, researchers compared 11 different measures in the same Dunedin participants. They did not tell the same story. One measure could describe a person as younger while another disagreed. Maybe the tests were not broken. Maybe the assumption was. Your body is not one clock. It is a building full of clocks, and they do not all tick at the same speed. Then, in 2023, scientists effectively opened that building room by room. Using thousands of blood proteins, they modeled aging across 11 organs and tissues. Nearly 1 in 5 people showed unusually accelerated aging, dominated by just one organ. Only about 1.7% showed extreme aging across several organs at once. One part of your body could look molecularly older, while the systems beside it remained younger. One signature even left a visible footprint. Older muscle aging patterns were linked with impaired gait. The blood signal showed up in the way people moved. That is what makes organ-specific aging so strange. Two people can share a birthday while completely different systems are carrying the burden. In one person, an older signature may be concentrated in the heart or arteries. In another, in muscle or kidney. A single biological age number can hide that contrast. The more researchers separated the body into systems, the less aging looked like one synchronized downhill slide, and the more it looked like different parts of the same body losing ground at different times. So aging was no longer one number. It had become a map. Which raised the bigger question: why do some people keep several important regions of that map younger for longer? The obvious place to look was genetics. And this time, part of the obvious answer was right. In long-lived families, the advantage can appear decades before 100. Their offspring have shown younger epigenetic signatures and better glucose metabolism. One isolated Amish community offered something even clearer: a natural experiment written into a family line. Carriers of a rare inherited mutation had longer white blood cell telomeres, lower fasting insulin, and less diabetes. In the extended family record, their average age at death was 82. Non-carriers, 75. 7 years. Some bodies are born with biology that tilts the odds before lifestyle enters the story. But inherited does not mean predetermined. These studies cannot tell you how much of one person's aging is fixed. Genes deal the opening hand. They do not explain the entire game. So which systems are unusually slow agers actually preserving? In 2025, researchers tracked organ aging signatures in more than 44,000 people. As older signatures accumulated across organs, mortality risk climbed. But two systems stood out from the rest: the brain and the immune system. People whose brain and immune system signatures looked especially youthful had substantially lower mortality risk. These are blood-based molecular patterns, not literal clocks. But they change the aging story. Aging well may be less about keeping everything young than preventing critical systems from declining together. And in long-lived families, one advantage kept appearing: better biological control. People who age unusually well do not seem to have one hidden anti-aging mechanism. Their bodies appear better at preventing small disruptions from becoming chronic ones. They tend to control glucose with less insulin. They tend to carry a lower chronic inflammatory load. Their immune systems can retain more youthful patterns for longer. Different systems, same underlying advantage. The body is losing control more slowly. They still age. Their biology simply seems to resist that loss of control for longer. That sounds like genetic privilege, until researchers asked whether those signals could be moved in ordinary adults. In a 2-year randomized trial, 220 adults without obesity reduced calorie intake while maintaining adequate nutrition, or kept eating as usual. If aging were one switch, this should have produced one clean answer. It did not. One pace of aging measure slowed modestly. Other clocks barely moved. Metabolic and cardiovascular estimates changed more than kidney aging. Same intervention. Different clocks answered differently. A second trial showed the same split. A plant and fiber-rich, lower glycemic diet changed one set of epigenetic aging signals. Regular moderate intensity activity changed another. There was no universal reset button. But the clocks were not deaf. So strip away the anti-aging marketing. What can you actually do? First, not starvation. Nutrition remained adequate. The practical target is avoiding chronic energy excess, not crash dieting. Second, diet quality. More plant foods and fiber, a lower glycemic load, and less saturated fat and alcohol. Third, regular moderate intensity movement, not occasional bursts. None guarantees a younger face or makes every biological clock run backward. But they reveal something more useful than a hack. Some parts of the aging system are still listening to how you live. So why do some people seem to barely age at all? Not because time skips them, and not because every part of their body somehow stays young. Their advantage is spread across the system. Some organs accumulate change more slowly. Metabolic control stays tighter, inflammatory pressure lower, and immune patterns younger for longer. Some is inherited. Some still responds to how a person lives. Which brings us back to the two people with the same birthday. Same years alive, completely different biological mileage. Your face was never the clock. It was the first place the hidden clocks underneath began to show themselves.